Today has never been a better day to start your smart home. Not only you will find it a great hobby, but it will also increase your quality of life and the way that you interact with your own home. In this video, I'm going to give you 4 paths that you can take to kickstart your smart home. We're going to be talking about the Amazon, Google, Apple, and Home Assistant path. We're going to be discussing the pros and cons of each setup, and I'm going to talk about my own setup towards the end of the video also, so stick around for that. Now, let's roll the intro. Let's talk about the Amazon's route. I picked up an Echo Dot 5th generation at the last Black Friday sale. You can also get an older version too, but just check that it has a Zigbee hub inside, because Zigbee is the way that devices, the smart devices, can communicate with the hub. You can also purchase a tablet from Echo, and you might use that to visually see things like cameras. You can buy devices that are made specifically for the Amazon ecosystem. For example, like one of these smart plugs, and you can see the little symbol over here works with, and I'm going to say the word, but A, because that's going to trigger everyone's voice assistants if you do have one at home. It's also a great path to pick if you have a Fire TV, because then you can use your television to stream devices too. Primarily, you can use your voice to say turn on, turn off, and you can command light bulbs and light switches, for example. You can use the app and navigate it over there and turn things on and off. You can also set up routines, which are like automations, which given something happening, something else will happen. So given sunset, then my blinds will go up. I'll be making a dedicated video, and you'll find details of that in the description when that gets released. So the Amazon ecosystem is one of the cheapest ones to get into. It's easy to set up, it's quite intuitive. If you don't enjoy tinkering and you don't want to look at something like Home Assistant, this could be a great route for you. If you have Ring products in your house and some of these already around, then it's a no-brainer to start. Quick tip, if you actually buy a device that's cross-functional, for example, if you see this Philips Hue light bulb, you can see that it's compatible not just with the Amazon ecosystem, but also with Google's and also with Apple's. So you can sort of then have them all working at the same time and pick and choose which one you prefer. Let's switch to the second path, the Google path. Now the Google path is preferred if you have an Android device, because that really integrates really well with the Google Voice Assistant. You also have the mini speakers, the bigger speakers, and the tablet version, similar to what the Amazon ecosystem has. You also have things like Chromecast, which you can use to stream camera feeds. This time, if you have Nest cameras or Nest doorbells, that will integrate really well with Google's ecosystem. The voice assistant also works well. I haven't had any issues particularly with their voice assistant like with Amazon's one. I'm not a fan of the app. The Google Home app, I don't think looks that good. It's not that easy to understand, and I think it's probably the most inferior one out of all of the 4 options. Again, there will be a dedicated video about this, so subscribe to the channel to stay tuned, where we're going to do a deep dive on each one of these. The third path is the HomeKit Apple path. This path is for someone that has iOS devices. So if you have an iPhone or a Mac, this will work quite well. To get started with HomeKit, you're going to need either a HomePod mini, like the one that's behind me, or you can get a bigger HomePod or an Apple TV or an iPad. Now, I will really suggest that you get either an Apple TV or the voice assistant. You'll probably get away using the cheaper one. Do bear in mind that this one is at least 3 times the cost of one of these, or maybe double the cost when there's no sale. The design of these devices are quite beautiful, but Siri is miss and touch really, at least with my voice and my accent. So sometimes it just doesn't understand me, sometimes it does. Now for smart home actions, that's fine, because you can rename the devices. So you can call things in a way that the voice assistant will understand you. So you're not really gonna have too much of a problem. The really thing I really like a lot is that because I'm an iOS user, I've got Mac, Apple TVs and watches and everything, and it just all integrates really well, and it's super quick and super fast to change things and interact with it. You can also set up automations like the other two in a very similar way. You are limited, it's not as powerful as Home Assistant, for example, but you can accomplish a lot of tasks. The user interface dashboard is actually one of the best looking, easy to set up user dashboards that you can have in the smart home world at the time of recording. Many people, even the Home Assistant, try to do a HomeKit style dashboard because it just looks good and it's so clean. And the way they've done it, it makes it super easy to navigate things like camera feeds, locks, lights and switches and everything that you have. And it gives you an overview of the temperature in your home and the different climate settings that you can change. I do use HomeKit a lot, even if it's not my primary driver. Let's move to my primary driver, the automation platform that I use, Home Assistant, path number 4. Let me just get this out there. Home Assistant is the most flexible, powerful, and it connects to the most devices or the most things on the web like APIs. There's no one else that get even close to what Home Assistant can do in terms of functionality. But if this is so powerful and this is so amazing, why would I not just recommend this and mention the other 3 paths? Well, the simple thing is that you need a bit of technical expertise, and it's not that much. You don't need to be a computer programmer or have a degree in IT to get it. The learning curve for Home Assistant is slightly higher than the other ones. I would say probably 2 times or 3 times the effort of one of the other options and solutions. If you do enjoy DIY and tinkering, then you just gotta love the process. But let me just break it down very quickly for you. First of all, you need a piece of hardware. So you need to install Home Assistant onto something. Home Assistant is just a software, open source software that you can download off the internet. So once you've installed it, for example, on a Raspberry Pi or on some sort of computer that you have laying around, you can check the different hardware specs on the Home Assistant website, because that changes all the time. Home Assistant have their own hardware like Home Assistant Yellow that you can purchase with Home Assistant installed. Previously, a few years ago, we had the Home Assistant Blue, which was a similar thing. And then you need a Zigbee or Z-Wave controller. So you need something that will enable your devices to actually talk to them. So you need to purchase that device. For example, now Home Assistant are releasing their own version of a Zigbee controller, which is a little USB stick that you just plug in. I've been using a Combi 2 stick for years and it's been working fine. If you are interested in a Home Assistant, there's a link in the description below with my free Home Assistant course, and it's going to take you around an hour and it's ad-free, and you can just sign up. And that course will give you the basic fundamental understandings of what Home Assistant is and what Home Assistant calls things, so you can actually understand how it works. Now, the last time that I actually checked, Home Assistant have like over 1,900 devices or possible integration, so you should be fine. But you can check on the website before you buy any devices. Most likely it will be compatible with Home Assistant, unless it's some sort of device that's made specifically for a brand, and the brand sort of decides to make it difficult for Home Assistant to integrate. The other advantage of using Home Assistant, why you should look into it, is that if you are privacy and sort of data conscious, so we know Google's business model around advertisement is sort of the biggest revenue stream for the group in general. Some people are not happy with it, and also having voice assistants that can listen into you. But Home Assistant can work without having some sort of device that listens to your voice, right? So that's a great advantage. You can install it without it, like HomeKit. You can have it without a voice assistant if people don't like that. So that's another option. Other companies use the cloud, which means basically the internet. So if you don't have an internet connection, you can't do many things with the device. Home Assistant is the other way around. Predominantly works all locally controlled. Some services require the internet. For example, the weather service would require the internet. We don't need the internet. We try to do everything locally, meaning that your devices talk to your devices within your home without some sort of server sitting somewhere like 100 kilometers away from you. I guess one of the cons of Home Assistant is you need to take care of it a bit. So you need to reboot it frequently. Sometimes you get stuck. You need to be careful with upgrades and just not simply upgrade anything. If you start using custom components, and you understand these custom components could break. So there's a little bit more know-how into how to set it up, how to maintain it in the smooth possible way, where things like HomeKit, for example, you don't even think of updating it maybe just once a year. But Home Assistant releases their software once every month, and if you lag too much behind, things can get deprecated, so you just need to keep an eye on it. And the best way really to keep an eye on it is to subscribe to this channel and let me know in the comment section down below if there are an alternative or another path or ecosystem that you want me to look into in more detail. I'm going to leave you here with a playlist that will pop up when the other videos are available, so you can actually deep dive in each one of these 4 paths to find out which one is the one for you. I'll see you in that video.